This video is a long rant about music, music culture, and the internet and various websites. It is probably one of the most turbo virgin experiences you can have with a YouTube video. It's whiny and super pretentious. Viewer discretion is advised. Music. Fuck man, it's big, massive even. Ever since the days of the internet, ever since they begun, nicher and more experimental music have found their way, and found their way to thrive within the internet landscape. And because of this, certain genres and stuff, because of the internet, have really been prioritized and focused and, gotten a lot of exposure, the genres individually, and came to light through the internet. And with that, a lot of its characteristics were created through the internet. One really good example is sort of the whole indie folk scene, or even the slowcore scene. I'm going to talk about indie folk because one of the artists is so big that it's kind of just easy to talk about, like Alex G or whatever. Alex G, I'm not going to say, yeah, he did popularize that sound, like, to an extreme degree. And that sound has become so unanimous with the internet, like the whole Alex G sound, and there's so many people trying to mimic it. My issue with this, and this is a huge thing with slowcore as well, is this kind of thing, this like situation keeps happening, and then it becomes like people just create the art mainly for money. Now, I'm not saying that's like 100% the case, like it's not 100% the case they're making it for money, but it is 100% the case sometimes they're making it for attention. I really hate that. I think like a lot of these artists, and they usually get a fair bit of attention. Like, I mean, I talked to a person on Discord one time, and we didn't go into much detail about it, but I remember they're pissing me off because they said, "Yeah, I made slowcore. It was kind of shitty. I don't really care about it, but I mean, it got like 20,000 listeners, and I got some money off of it, something like that, right?" And I'm like, he sent me the account, and yeah, it's a pretty big slowcore account or whatever. Not big, but it has some attention. And I'm like, I mean, that's cool. I don't know how much money you get from $20,000 of Spotify. Probably nothing. Probably not a penny. But it's the attention, right? And the fact that somebody is just like, they don't really care. Like, as a musician, I don't get that. Like, how do you just make something and just like not really care about it, and then you put it out? That's the weird part to me. Like, if you don't care that much about it, like, sure, you can put it out under, like, I don't know, maybe if you're just like done with the project and you just want to let it go, just put it out under some random artist name, whatever. But that's not really what this guy did. He was mainly focusing on this art, and he was just like, I mean, I wouldn't listen to it. And I'm like, well, why are you creating art that other people listen to because of trends online, but you don't personally like, and then you upload that and have that? It's like, it's so weird to me. And you see this predominantly with the slowcore scene, but I'm seeing this everywhere, really. Like, I don't want to dunk on certain people or anything, but like, that whole the Jane Remover shoegaze sound, dude, that's become, because of sites like Rate Your Music and Album of the Year, that shit has become so highly regarded in music culture that new musicians tend to gravitate to creating that sort of music. And it's just resulted in a lot of like slop in this sort of like scene or genre that doesn't sound very passionate with its musical composition. That's the best way I could probably put it. I really don't want to point to specific people or anything because, that's rude. And, who knows? Maybe somebody is really passionate. They're just, not very good at what they do, which, that's very possible. Sounds rude, but it's very possible, right? But a lot of the time, when somebody's really passionate about music, or about the music they're creating, you can tell. Like with Jane Remover, personally, I find it, because it's so oversaturated. I respect Jane Remover. I think Jane Remover's music is it's respectable. I can tell there's a lot of like time put into it. But even, I think a good example is her like record, like that she released this year, her Venturing one. That shit was kind of ass. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, a lot of people like it, but it's just that sound has been so formulaically like done, to the point where it's borderline like almost unlistenable for me now. And this is happening with so many genres, where the internet sort of gets a hold of it, and they just mass produce it to the point where it has so many like tropes and things that it makes it like hard to listen to, or at least like the slop that comes out of it. When I listen to Frailty by Jane Remover, like that first album, I can definitely see like I could definitely see like the passion and the innovation that's in that record. It's impressive. Anything after that, I feel like it's so influenced by whatever else is going on in the scene at the time, whereas it's trying to like not do something new almost, you know what I mean? Like, it almost sounds done before, and it's sad. But what I think is sadder is the fact that like all the sites, the like Rate Your Music and Album of the Year, kind of encouraged this culture within music. They like encouraged this mass production, and they encourage people to make music that sounds exactly kind of the same, in the same formulaic way. It's starting to get noticed, though. I will say there's a lot of people that are starting to be like, this is getting annoying. This is getting, to like slop levels. And this is mainly noticed within like shoegaze recently. Because of the mass popularity that it's gotten, a lot of the people that use these sites are like, honestly, I've heard so much shoegaze like this. It's not all that great. It's created purely for the intention of money already, or whatever. I almost like the term. I hate it, but it's almost an accurate term, calling it like fake gaze or whatever, like fake shoegaze. And I've used the term myself, mainly because the term shoegaze has become so like terribly like contorted and whatever, like to the point where it doesn't mean much in music scenes. But a lot of like shoegaze I hear is so formulaic and like made like the slowcore way, I call it the slowcore method, because that's when I first saw it, the slowcore method way, to where it's just like, it just sounds super sloppy. I think this whole trend definitely needs to find, I don't know if it's natural, like it needs to go, but the thing is, I don't know if this is a natural thing that happens with music or not. Because, like, with the punk music, for example, punk music in the past, the big thing was it would, like, be, like, 2 years of creating new music, and then, by the second year, it's like, okay, this stuff's getting kind of old, but, we're going to keep going because we can make something good. And then by the third year, they're switching their genre, they're changing, they're constantly evolving the genre. And I don't really see that with many current scenes. Like, I see the genre getting popular, like a good 5 set artists like popularizing a genre. Don't get me wrong, those 5 set artists can be really good, and even sometimes the artists they influence can be really good. But yeah, these 5 sets of artists will get really good, create a couple albums that, influence the whole genre. Then a bunch of people try to recreate that sound, but they don't change much about it. And they don't try to evolve it. They just recreate what's already been made, but worse because it's influenced without any innovation. I think this is like becoming an issue because it's so prominent, and then rather than encouraging this behavior, people on Album of the Year or Rate Your Music go and encourage it, and it just gets produced more, and people listen to it because it's comfortable. And this is, of course, it's a smart way to go. Don't get me wrong. If I'm like an artist in this situation and I'm focusing on the attention aspect, like, yeah, of course, it's a smart way to go. People are gonna listen to it. They're comfortable with that kind of music. It's easy to make because you got the influence or whatever. It's easy to understand. It's easy to make. You don't have to think about it much. It's the obvious way to go. But as a musician, it saddens me because it means like a lot of these scenes are becoming so flat. It really does. It really, really, really does sadden me. One of the genres that I, for example, will just mindlessly listen to because I just really love the genre. And I can be even pointed out here and say, hey, you're doing this exact same thing, is bedroom screamo. Because I love the sound of bedroom screamo. And I'll be honest, a lot of the artists, even though I still like them, just kind of create the exact same sound. That's already been created before and laid out by, innovators like Your Arms or fuck, dude, the only one I can really like think of is Your Arms Are My Cocoon, because that's like the only one that's super innovative, right? Or created like, or really popularized the bedroom screamo sound. Yeah, like Your Arms, and actually one record that came out very recently, I Practice Saying Sorry to You So I Can Do It in Front of the Mirror One Day. That's the band name. They created like, it almost sound like if you know the band Godfuck, they're like another hyper screamo band. Shout out to those guys, very unique sound. But I Practice Saying Sorry to You is like taking hyper screamo and making it like bedroom screamo. It's actually super cool. It sounds like shit, but it works in a way. I can't describe it. Like the mixing is terrible, but it works. Anyways, I really like bedroom screamo, and I tend to gravitate towards it naturally, even though a lot of the time it can be created with the slowcore method. And I've begun, even in that sense, to not highly regard a lot of like random bedroom screamo slop, because I'm like, this was made with no innovation. And it's become an important part of the way I look at music. I'm like, were they trying to do something? Were they trying to perfect their craft, or were they trying to do something new, or were they just trying to recreate a sound that another artist has already made, or the scene has, and try to get popular off of that? And that's how I look at a lot of music now. And then in that, I say, if they are, just trying to do the whole slowcore method, I'm like, well, do I like it? Maybe I don't. And so on and so forth. And if they are creating new things, I'm like, well, what do I like about that? What do I like about the music? Blah, 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 blah. Right? But yeah, so that was the first thing I wanted to talk about, is like, just like the sort of slowcore method that has happened to a lot of like internet music, and how it's like encouraged by the websites, and that it's just being like so prominently done, and it's become like almost like this virus with music. But yeah, I really gotta say, like, no genre is safe from this when it comes to experimental or indie or niche music. And I'm predominantly talking about quote unquote more niche genres, because a lot of the popular genres, I mean, they have so much. Like, a lot of mainstream music has a lot of slop, but it has so much to the point where there are a few standouts, that there are really good ones. And we've all just naturally accepted that the majority of mainstream music is slop, with a couple of like really good standouts in each genre or whatever. I'm not okay with that, but You know what? We've been living with it so long, we've all learned to accept it, I feel like. It sucks, but that's the way it is. And that's what I don't want. Uh, that's what I don't want um, experimental or indie or niche music to be. Because I really do think with how, like, as big as the scenes look, they are little compared to mainstream music. And with how, like, there, let's say there's like 500 artists going on right now, or probably not even, probably like 400 artists, 300 artists in like screamo. There definitely could be, each like band could be doing something unique or trying to really perfect themselves in a way that's different from what the scene already has laid out. I genuinely believe every artist could be doing that. And yeah, in certain scenes, things can sound samey, but they really don't have to. Like with slowcore, there's no way literally hundreds and hundreds of albums have to sound the exact same and follow the exact same template with slow down-tuned guitar, really undynamic drum beat, and vocal that you can kind of hear just kind of softly like wailing under the mix. There's no reason every single song needs to follow that exact like course. There really isn't. You could sprinkle like I don't know, you could sprinkle synths in there, you could sprinkle like post rock in that. I heard one album that did that and it made me really happy. I was like, wow, this is a new thing. What was that album? That came out last year. That was let me look here. That was Rampers, Solo Postress or whatever. That was really, that was a really unique sound. You could even try to mix some like with indie folk. Obviously, a lot of slowcore is mixed with indie folk, but you could try to use some of the other instruments other than an acoustic guitar. You could try, implementing harmonica or implementing. Obviously, I said synths, but like little twinkles or bear bells or certain drums. Or you could try making the music, faster or slower, or go dronier if you want. Maybe some like feedback sounds. That'd be super cool. Some ambience. Just try to create like a structure to it. And that's the next thing I want to talk about. Is the lack of structure with these albums, with these like projects that have become done with the slowcore method. Is there's like no, like, a lot of these albums aren't created with a narrative, or they're not creative with like a structural idea. Then they're just sort of made song after song and just thrown up there, which that's fine for certain genres, but I feel like with like a lot of these experimental genres or a lot of these like weirder genres, like, you kind of, a narrative or a good album is really appreciated, like a good idea to your album that ties everything together is very appreciated, whereas a lot of this stuff is just, oh, I like this artist. Let's make a song inspired by X artist. And then let's make a song inspired by X artist in the genre. And then X artist in the genre. And then X genre in the genre. And then we have a 4-track EP that sounds like a mush of the popular stuff in this genre, right? And take that, what I just said, and you can apply it to so many things. Take this sentence I'm going to say right here. An album where the tracks individually are inspired by the popular artist in the genre, put together without much of a narrative, that just sounds like the genre. That's a little complicated, but there are so many like cases and examples that are exactly that, and it's unfortunate to see in the musical landscape. Anyways, thanks for listening to my whiny, pathetic rant. But yeah, that is my current opinion on the musical landscape. The musical landscape. The musical landscape. In conclusion, I'm just jealous and I want to be famous.